Hey there, welcome back to another video. This time around, it is my review of the 2004 film, The SpongeBob SquarePants Movie. This is a film that has a pretty significant fan base. There's a lot of people who have a ton of nostalgia for this one, who grew up with it, as well as the cartoon SpongeBob SquarePants. For some people, it's one of their favorites. And a lot of people actually consider it to be Nickelodeon's best movie. And despite the fact that I did grow up watching SpongeBob SquarePants like a lot of other 90s kids, I don't really remember the movie that much. I think I saw some clips, but that's really about it. All I remember is, crazy enough, the live action footage. That's what I remember seeing when I was a kid. Like just flipping through channels or while I was on Nickelodeon, I just remember seeing the David Hasselhoff scene or the scene when SpongeBob and Patrick are left out to dry. Like that's really all I remember from the movie. I don't even remember a plot. I don't even remember any of the other sequences or any of the other moments. I didn't even remember the Goofy Goober bit. I didn't even remember any of that. So this was a lot of fun, actually, because I didn't have any recollection or memory other than a few clips of the film, so it was almost as if I was watching it for the first time. And I get it now. I understand why this has such a big fan base, because I really like this. I would say, in all honesty, this is one of the better animated films of the 2000s. Now, before I go any further, I want to give a shout out yet again to Sean for requesting this video. And let's dive right into my thoughts on the SpongeBob SquarePants movie. It's directed by Steven Hillenberg, who is the creator of the show, as well as a writer. And this was intended to be his swan song. His intent was for this to be the finale for the entire show. And you can really feel that when it comes to his direction, when it comes to everything that he brought to this film. It really felt like he was giving it 110%, and it really made this into something special. The direction here is some of the best that he's ever done when it comes to SpongeBob, and you could just tell that he relished and was just really ecstatic at the opportunity to direct a feature film, to go outside of the boundaries of television and use more ambitious camera work and angles and point of view shots and do cinematic things that you wouldn't necessarily be able to do on the same scale when it comes to television. And just the love and the compassion that he has for the characters and for the world of SpongeBob is something that really does shine and is very evident throughout the entire running time. And Hillenberg is a talent that to this day is still very sorely missed, if you ask me. And even though some of the other seasons that came out after the film had some episodes that were actually pretty good, I would honestly be totally okay if we didn't have any more, and this really was what Hillenberg intended it to be. The last hurrah for SpongeBob. And yeah, I just can't really say enough about his direction. He just did a fantastic job with this. The screenplay is by Derek Dryman, Tim Hill, Stephen Hillenberg, Kent Osborne, Aaron Springer, and Paul Tibbett. And yeah, it has a ton of writers. But unlike some other scripts that I've seen that have like that many writers, it doesn't feel like it's a bunch of writers competing too much for attention here. It doesn't seem like the writer's style or their sense of humor or their ideas clash too much. They seem to have a really good sense and a really good feel of how to tell this story and how to incorporate their different ideas and their different concepts in it. At its core, this film is essentially a buddy movie with SpongeBob and Patrick. And I'm totally okay with that because that's what I would expect, and that's what want from a SpongeBob movie. I want it to be a movie where those two are featured up front and center for most of the runtime, and there are some side characters and some other side plots, but it's really their story that is the most prominent. And I like the idea of it being a road film too. I know a lot of people think that's a little generic, that's playing things safe and not really doing anything that's that different or that unique, but I don't think you really needed that, especially when it comes to the live action scenes. You get enough of the uniqueness with the various live action scenes that you get in this movie. I mean, it starts out with a live action scene with pirates, which is really cool and really creative. And it's a fun way to tie into the intro to the show and then open up the movie with these pirates winding up going to a movie theater to watch the SpongeBob movie. And the whole stuff with this Krusty Krab 2 and SpongeBob assuming that he's going to get the job, but then being crushed when he's not given the manager position for the second Krusty Krab, and instead it's given to Squidward. Knowing SpongeBob and knowing his character after all these seasons building up to this movie, you definitely do sympathize for SpongeBob. And his reaction is justifiable and understandable. And I love that this script not only has the goofy comedy, not only has the surreal and absurd stuff, but it also has some pretty dark comedy in it too. The whole ice cream parlor scene is basically SpongeBob and Patrick getting loaded. It's them getting loaded on ice cream. They're getting wasted on ice cream sundaes. And I love that the writers don't sugarcoat it. It's just like, yeah, this is what we're referencing. They're depressed and they get hung over on ice cream. And then you have the whole subplot going on with Plankton, who has a new plan to obtain the Krabby Patty secret formula, and this time it's Plan Z. And in a twist, it actually works. The plan involves stealing King Neptune's crown, framing Krabs to the crime, and then just using all the chaos to be able to sneak in and steal the formula, and then start selling the Krusty Krab burger, the Krabby Patty, at the Chum Bucket. And SpongeBob and Patrick then get sent on this mission to go get the crown back, to go to this place called Shell City. And this is after Neptune has already frozen Mr. Krabs, and so they have to go get the crown back. Otherwise, Mr. Krabs is really going to be a goner, and also Plankton is going to take over not only the Krusty Krab but the entirety of SpongeBob's world, Bikini Bottom. And along the way, SpongeBob and Patrick encounter various different obstacles, and the very signature and very funny sense of humor that the show was known for is still very much there. You have this whole scene where SpongeBob and Patrick, they wind up going to this bar, and they uh, they get into a bit of a brawl, and there's this bounty hunter that Plankton is hired to try to stop them and try to take them out. And there's this just absurd bit of comedy involving Bubbles that is really funny. And so yeah, this bounty hunter named Dennis is hunting them, and so they have to stay one step ahead of Dennis while also trying to get their way to Shell City, and they wind up in a trench later. They lose the paddy wagon. And then they get some encouragement from Mindy, who is the daughter of King Neptune, and she gives them like seaweed mustaches, so they think that they're real men, and so they have this new confidence, and they wind up traversing the trench. And while they were going through the trench, there's all these different types of monsters, which was really fun and really cool to see all these different types of creatures. And there was this thing prior to all of that where they went through this, it was this just absolute a mountain of bones and dead bodies, and it was just really morbid and dark because there was this fish that was trying to lure them with this grandmother with like, what was it, like pudding or chocolate cookies or something along that way, along those lines, and it was absolutely hilarious. And it's so random and unpredictable at points, and that just really makes it all the more enjoyable and enticing and compelling because there's always something that might surprise you or might throw you for a loop. I mean, I don't think anybody predicted how David Hasselhoff was going to be utilized when it comes to his cameo in this movie. And that's just one instance out of many when it comes to this screenplay. Even the whole stuff involving the Cyclops at Shell City, where you're thinking the Cyclops is going to be like a literal Cyclops, but no, it's a diver. It's a diver wearing like some old time, uh, ancient. Maybe ancient is the right isn't the right word, but definitely a antique diving suit, and he's been abducting all these different fish and all these other different creatures from Bikini Bottom, and then making them into dioramas and selling them on the beach. And Patrick and SpongeBob are the next targets to get googly eyes glued on them and put into a tacky diorama. And they eventually find a way to escape from the gift shop, or the horrors of the gift shop. And I love how the other creatures come to life too and wind up attacking the Cyclops. They escape, and then they get the crown because the crown is over there in the Cyclops's lair, and they take it back to the beach, but they don't have a ride because Patrick winds up doing something stupid, if I remember correctly, which is typical Patrick. And then David Hasselhoff shows up and gives them a ride home, which is as insane and wild as it sounds. It really is. They built like a massive giant Hasselhoff, a puppet of sorts, to be able to pull that scene off. And the climactic battle between Dennis and SpongeBob and Patrick is on Hasselhoff. It's on the Hoff. And eventually, SpongeBob and Patrick, they defeat Dennis, and Neptune arrives to finish the deed and completely execute Mr. Krabs because the time is up. But SpongeBob and Patrick return with the crown. Plankton then drops a mind control helmet on Neptune because that's the buckets that he's been selling at the Chum Bucket for each sale of the Krabby Patty. He's giving everybody these bucket hats, and they're just another part of his plan to mind control people. And just when you think Plankton has won and there's no hope, SpongeBob just uses the power of rock and roll to play Goofy Goober Rock, which is just a version of I Wanna Rock by Twisted Sister, which I really like that song and I love Twisted Sister, so I thought that was pretty fun. And it's not just Twisted Sister that's used in this. There's like a different version of a Motorhead song that's also used in this soundtrack. So he plays Goofy Goober Rock, frees Neptune and the citizens of Bikini Bottom from uh, Plankton's mind control, and then Plankton gets arrested. Neptune unfreezes Krabs, and then Krabs does appoint SpongeBob the manager of the Krusty Krab too, because he realizes that he isn't just a kid and that he is responsible enough to have that job. And of course, Squidward is ecstatic. Squidward is very happy about that because he didn't want to be the manager to begin with. Or maybe he wanted to, but then as soon as he became the manager, he hated it. Um, the only problem I have with this script is that Sandy is like not utilized barely at all. And I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of Squidward too. Um, Apparently, Sandy, there was a plan to have her used in the script, like have a bigger role, but it was really weird and honestly kind of off putting. It dealt with a live action Sandy and I think something to do with like vomit or something. It was just a really weird scene that I don't think was needed or necessary, and I think it really would have stood out like a sore thumb. So I'm glad they didn't use that. Maybe come up with a different way to use her then. Like why would that be it anyway? And also Squidward, just he definitely felt like he was very underutilized. But I get it. You're trying to focus more on SpongeBob and Patrick and their adventure, and that's okay. Um, but still, in the SpongeBob movie, I would have liked to have seen those two get a little bit more to do. But that's really about it because I like the plot involving King Neptune and his daughter, Mindy, and I love that Plankton's plan actually works this time, and we get to see what happens, to see all that insanity unfold. And I like the addition of Dennis, the bounty hunter, and I really enjoyed the road trip with SpongeBob and Patrick. It's essentially Dumb and Dumber. That's really what it is. It's like the SpongeBob SquarePants equivalent of Dumb and Dumber. And it's just as endearing and as fun to watch in a lot of ways as that classic film is. So, yeah, I really don't have much else to say about this script except you could tell that there was a lot of care, a lot of thought that was put into it, and nothing about this was just a pure cash grab or something that they did to rush something into theaters. That definitely didn't feel like that was the case at all with this movie. And it was absolutely a total labor of love from all of the writers involved with it. And the voice cast, if you ask me, is phenomenal. You've got Tom Kenny, who's back as SpongeBob, and he brings the same amount of energy, the same amount of layers to the character that made the character, in all honesty, an instant icon. SpongeBob is one of the most iconic and popular Nicktoons for a reason, and Kenny is arguably the one that is really the most responsible because if you had a wrong voice actor, this just would never have worked. This is a character that's kind of neurotic, and has a lot of traits that could be really obnoxious and annoying. And Kenny finds a way to balance them and makes him not only funny, but also rather endearing. Yeah, Kenny did a great job, as usual. Bill Fagerbakke was also equally as good, if you ask me, as Patrick Starr. Another character that is just kind of dumb and could be annoying in a different interpretation, but the way that Bill approaches it. He has his own endearing qualities, and the deadpan that this character has is, in my opinion, honestly, some of the best deadpan that you'll ever get in animation. Because Patrick is just such a dumbass, and like the way the way that Bill has Patrick say some of these lines, the deadpan that he provides with that character just makes it laugh out loud hilarious. And it would not be anywhere near as funny if you had a different approach. Clancy Brown, still just as money grubbing, still just as fun to watch and to listen to as Krabs. I I still have a hard time believing that Kurgan from Highlander is the same guy who voices Mr. Krabs. Like it is still something that blows my mind every time that I see his name in the credits for SpongeBob. Rodger Bumpass was still quite good too as Squidward, despite him not really being in it that much. Uh, Mr. Lawrence was as over the top and maniacal as always as Plankton. Alec Baldwin was a nice addition to the cast as the tough bounty hunter, Dennis. Scarlett Johansson, in her first ever voiceover role, did some good work too as Princess Mindy. And Jeffrey Tambor was not that bad as King Neptune. And yeah, David Hasselhoff as himself. That was a great cameo. So yeah, really, really great voice cast for the film. Uh, and the film also features some editing by Lynn Hobson and cinematography by Jerzy Zielinski. And both of those elements are excellent and quite well done. This is not a film that gets too waterlogged either when it comes to its runtime. It goes by at a pretty quick pace. And you can really tell that the $30 million budget was utilized. Like every last bit of that budget was used for this movie. This does not have a look or a feel of a TV movie. It easily could have, but it does not. This definitely looks like something that was made for theaters. And the animation quality, I think, is honestly pretty great. It still maintains the same style and the same look for the most part as the show. It's not too drastically different in terms of the animation, which I like. And they moved away from that for the other movies. And I'm not necessarily as big of a fan of that because there's a new one coming out and I saw a trailer for it and it's just another CGI animated one. And I just, there's just something that is extra endearing to me about the original look of the animation for the show. And it's nice to see a film that had that for the majority of the runtime, other than some of the live action sequences. And yeah, I really enjoyed this. I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was really entertaining. I thought it had a good heart to it. I thought it was genuinely clever. I think the plot was actually quite good. It's actually, in all honesty, probably even after just like one watch, one of the better road trip movies I've seen and one of the better kids movies. and it is easily the best Nickelodeon movie that I can think of. I mean, Nickelodeon is it really is a studio that has a very mixed track record for me when it comes to their feature films. But this, I agree. This is a classic. And if I see this on 4K somewhere for a pretty decent price, I will gladly pick it up. Because I enjoyed it that much. And this is also the movie that has that iconic meme, the one where the guy goes, "Ah, my eyes!" after he sees Neptune's bald head. Like, there's a reason why that is one of the most iconic, popular memes when it comes to SpongeBob or just in general, because it is absolutely uproariously funny. I was laughing my ass off during that entire sequence. And I love how they repeated the gag too, and it just kept getting funnier. And there's just a lot of moments like this in the film that will genuinely make you bust a gut laughing. Even as an adult. Like, it's not just a kids movie. Like, there are jokes in this, and there's dark comedy that'll go way over the kids' heads. But there's enough here that the kids will enjoy it and find it to be rather enjoyable and fun to watch, as well as the adults. So, yeah, this is definitely one that I think swims pretty high to the top and does not sink to the bottom. That's my thoughts on the SpongeBob SquarePants movie. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you later. See ya.